Okay. Ms. Price, Dr. Price.
There is a lot of discussion about charter schools, not only in our state, but throughout the United States. Down in Atlanta, they had an awful time with some of the charter schools. And what the superintendent did down there, the charter schools that were performing, she left. The ones that were not performing, she went in and evaluated the teachers and closed them where necessary. And the other charter schools were given retraining of the teachers. And I think there's a place for charter schools, but we must be very careful that our dollars are well spent and not being taken away from public education.
Thank you. Mr. Williams.
Sure. I was going to say, I think that we need to get away from this notion that a lot of politicians have put in place in our minds that you can only have accountability if you have these high-stakes tests, when we know for a fact that we can have ways to hold ourselves accountable in ways that I've described earlier in this debate, to making sure that we're aggressively moving children forward year to year based on what the growth objectives that have been set for them based on where they're beginning of the year. And in my platform, I call for 3rd, 8th, and 12th grade to be what are going to be titled gateway years, where we as a system are going to look very seriously. Is a child succeeding? Are they at grade level where they should be, especially in their reading and math ability, so that we're not just simply socially promoting them through the system and leading them to failure instead of setting them up for success. So we need to make sure we have serious intervention and remediation for our children at those gateway years to get them back on track so that we are moving them forward, ready to succeed grade to grade.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Dugan, did you have one more follow-up?
I just wanted to add on the 3rd grade retention. I did have some concern with the law. There was an exception for English language learners, and I'm very much against that they are being exempt from the social promotion they are going to be promoted on, even though they fail to pass the Ames test. And I think that is very wrong, because those kids need to have the intervention. They should not be promoted to the next grade level when they cannot read at the 3rd grade reading level. So I think that was very wrong of that law to be passed in that way.
Okay, thank you. The next question, and I will confess, I believe that it's Ms. Kotterman's turn to be first. If I'm wrong, you'd best tell me now. Okay. Considering that most Arizona students are in school only 27% of the day, what role can non-21st century after-school programs play in improving students' academic success? And as superintendent, what will you do to ensure enhanced coordination between the formal school day and quality after-school programs?
I'm not sure I know what a non-21st century school program is, but let me just take a shot at this, and whoever wrote the question can let me know if I don't get it correct. First of all, I think that as superintendent of public instruction, I actually would advocate for a longer school day for students, particularly at the middle school and high school level. I think we shortchange our kids by having such a short period of time, and as we have more and more and more academic requirements, we take away from them very often the opportunity for really critical elective programs that are important for them. I know that that's sometimes unpopular, but I really believe that if we create different kinds of opportunities for our high school students, that we will create a much more relevant experience for them all the way around. In terms of after-school programs, I think partnerships actually with other community agencies is probably one of the very best ways to start that particular endeavor. The Department of Education should have a critical relationship with DES, with CPS, with all of the community agencies that offer after-school programs, the YMCAs, any number of other entities that offer after-school programs very often in the public schools. They used to do that in partnership in Kyrene. Funding cuts happen. Those programs go away. I think a key focus for the superintendent of public instruction is to try to help school districts create those kinds of partnerships at the community level, and to help school districts create and sustain them at the community level so that more children can take advantage of those kinds of things. I'm assuming that non-21st century skills things mean things like physical education, those kinds of activities, but actually those are also really critical to a 21st century skills education, because you have to actually have a really good, sound, physical education in order to be really well educated. The same thing goes with music and PE and dance and the arts and those kinds of programs as well. So anything we can do to connect to community entities at the local level is going to make our schools much more successful and give our children a great number more opportunities.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Huppenthal, would you like to respond to that question? Now these are optional, if you so desire.
Well, I think as you look at what the challenge that we face, if you study the data carefully, what screams at me from the challenge is student motivation. And I had the state librarian pull every level 1 research paper that ever been done on student motivation, and we set up a laboratory class. And the thing that we discovered, and you saw it in both the research and we saw it in our lab too, was that these students that are falling behind, the bottom 10%, the bottom 20%, begin to actively reject the mission. They seek out, they're absolutely petrified of displaying their lack of academic skill in the classroom and being humiliated in front of their peers. They develop all sorts of techniques to avoid displaying their lack of skill, and as a result, they're not practicing the very skills that they need to practice to get better. And this challenge is so severe that by the 8th grade, on the typical day, the typical student in Arizona is not doing a single math problem or reading a single page of text. And that is just a horrifying outcome. What you see, techniques for breaking this, and this deals directly with these after-school programs, is one-on-one tutoring to catch these students up, and also creating a new classroom structure in which we can actively get these students practicing the skill sets that they lack so that they will join the educational community. And so these after-school programs, I think, are critical. And you see in Florida that had that 30% gain in literacy rates in low-income and minority kids, this was a huge push that they put on, getting that one-on-one tutoring both in the classroom and in these after-school programs. It is absolutely ground zero for getting students motivated to seek the academic mission and improve themselves.
Thank you. Ms. Dugan.
As a high school principal, I always had a difficult time dealing with the no pass, no play law because, or at least what we had to deal with for our athletes, because I truly believe extracurricular activities really help our students stay in school. And one of the things that I tried to instill in all of our students was to get involved in some extracurricular activity. And in fact, one of the metrics that I was evaluated on as a principal was the percentage of students that were involved in extracurricular activities. And those are the activities that I believe really help your campus and your school even achieve academically. And those are the things that I would like to advocate as a state superintendent, just not the academic side, but also the extracurricular activity side, is that all students, there are not just sports, there are chess clubs, there are hiking clubs, there are many, many activities that all of our students can join and get involved with. And if those aren't the activities, then there are also trailer classes that I had at Glendale High School. When students get behind in courses, you can hire teachers to teach after school for those courses that the students are falling behind. Make your school a school that extends past the time that school is out for those students that need to stay either to get back on track or for extracurricular activities. And the more students that you have involved in extracurricular activities, your academic achievement will increase. And those are the things that I would like to bring to the schools in Arizona for all of our students to get involved in extracurricular activities. And it doesn't have to be just sports. It can be all sorts of activities.